Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me get my controls going here. Yes, we're good to go. All right. So, welcome to episode number, I think we're up to 9 on CoreSELFtech, CoreSELFie.com. If you're joining us today, this is a Q&A session, question and answer session on process number 3. And process number 3 is all about how do I live in alignment with my core self. So the first couple of exercises that we went through is determining what that core self is. These are all available processes that are available to you for download on CoreSELFie.com, which is like right there. CoreSELFie.com. The alignment process is how do I make sure that I'm living who I am meant to be, created to be, designed to be. So we're going to go through this in detail today. For those of you that are live with me on Zoom, you'll be able to ask questions, and please do, and do that live through the chat box. And if we get into a deeper conversation, I'll ask you to unmute yourself so that we can capture that. And just know that you are going out and on a live streaming right now to YouTube. And you will be, so share what you're willing to share publicly. All right. Very good. Let me switch over to my PowerPoint. And so episode 9 Q&A, process number 3, core self alignment process. Yeah, got that. Quotes. I don't know why this jingle was still in my head, but who are you? Who? If I sing that, I'll probably get a copyright violation from YouTube, so I'm not going to do that, and I'll spare you my voice. But Pete Townsend of The Who, right? The one of the founders of The Who, guitarist, songwriter. It is a haunting question. Who are you? Even though the backstory is when he's asking a policeman, who are you, in the early mornings of Soho in New York. But as I listen to this or hear this question, who are you? Who am I? Who am I really? And so my answer to that, my quote for that, you are your 100% unique and innately magnificent core self. Always have been, are now, and always will be. That's my answer to who are you? Who am I? Because that's the way that I was created. That's the way that you were created. That's the way that every other human brother and sister on my planet Earth was created, to be a unique human expression of that divine spark. Yeah. So, as I said, in the first 2 exercises, or these first 2 processes that we take you through, is to discover that, or rediscover that, re-articulate that for yourself. And it's really re-accessing that. And that's the first piece of the process of knowing yourself. The second part of it is what we're going to be doing today is aligning, living it, actually integrating it into my life, hopefully your life, hopefully everybody else's life that is exposed to this, takes advantage of this process, to allow them to actually be themselves, actually honor their, again, 100% unique and innately magnificent core self. So if you're at all interested in that journey deep down inside of you, you are exactly in the right place today. And I'm delighted to have you here. Again, put your questions in the chat box. Let me just make sure I've got my chat box activated here. Yeah, and I'm already starting to have them come in here. Super duper. Let me expand those. Yeah, what obscures the divine spark? Again, Rajiv, I think that's from you. Yeah. My experience, what masks it or obscures it is human conditioning. I think that we come in as a infant, and it's just we're beaming, we're radiating love and compassion and connection. I don't think I've ever seen a baby and not felt immediately attracted to that baby. Whether it's on a video or in a movie or in live or just in a grocery store, when they radiate that innate magnificence, that brilliance, that complete beauty, divine spark beauty. And again, my experience living life as fully as I have, it gets obscured by all the programming and all the shoulds. You should be doing this. You can't do this outside the house, Peter. When we're in public, that's not appropriate. When we're in this kind of company, then that's not okay. This is how you have to be. This is who you should be. Let's listen to me because I know better. I know better for you. I'm older than you. When you grow up, then you'll know, etc., etc. So we get all of this programming, all this conditioning that layers or packs on. So to the point that I get neurotic or nervous by the time I'm, 6 years old, certainly at 16 or 26, I have so much stuff that I am supposed to be acceptable to my society, to my surroundings, to my company, to my family, that it gets masked, it gets covered over. And until we take a conscious decision to say, okay, so this is this really me? I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. I'm nervous. I'm worried about what other people think of me to the degree that I can't be myself, whoever that might be, and I've long gone forgotten about it. And again, my experience, the divine spark is still there. It's still inside. It's wanting to be expressed. It wants to be honored. It doesn't go away. It can't go away. And I have to penetrate the layers. And so part of what we do here in CoreSELF and discovering CoreSELF is re-accessing, rediscovering, re-articulating that which is already there. And I believe it's in every single human being, regardless of conditioning, regardless of how they're acting out, regardless of the unsocial, obscene, awful things that individual is doing. I still believe that the divine spark is still within that human being. I do. And they are doing things because of their programming, because of what they've picked up from their elders, their tribe, their surroundings, and are fearful of their own life, are fearful of, if I don't do this, I can't survive in my current environment at 40 years old. Yeah, and it's sad. It brings deep compassion for those that have lost themselves that way. So this exercise that we're talking about today is how do I align my life? And when I say align my life, it's like aligning my goals, my aspirations, the things that I'm aspiring to do or be in my world, as a dad, as a friend, as a coach, as an executive, whatever role that you might be in right now. And so this can apply to any and all of the above. And in fact, when I teach this in my coach training program, we typically take a 1-year goal, which you see there on the screen. Okay, so what's my goal 1 year out? Perhaps write it up. It's long enough out so that I can do something about it, but it's not so long out that it's not reasonable to be able to accomplish that. Right? That's why I use 1 year, but it could be 3 weeks from now, for that matter. It also can be multiple goals. Every human being that I know has more than one goal in life. They have a goal to be a good parent. They have a good goal. They have a goal to be, move forward in their career, etc. So, what I'm going to encourage you to do, everyone that's listening to this live on YouTube or in my Zoom room right now, or on the recording that will be going up on YouTube. Do this for your 5 top goals. What are your 5 top goals going to be, that you would like to achieve? And let's say within the next 3 years, top 5 goals. What would they be? And then go through this process with those 5 top goals. Okay? So you write it out just the way that you currently have it in your mind. That's step 1, basically, in this process. Let me just switch gears here to my own screen here. Now, once you've written those goals out, take a look through the filter of your life purpose. Oh, no. First